Welcome to Jeremiah's Porch Talks. This is where we take a few minutes, talk about leadership and life, right from my front porch here in Sykesville, Maryland. Rain or shine, this is a time for us to reflect, reset, and get ready for whatever comes next in our respective journeys. I'm Jeremiah. Thanks for joining me. Today, I am also in Ocean City, Maryland. We're finishing up our conference here for the Maryland Municipal League. Today, I want to begin with a little bit of a story. Several years ago, I was leading a large facilities operations, and we got hit with what was a seeming perfect storm. We had a major snowstorm that had paralyzed the area, and on top of that, we had the local electricity provider on site doing some work. In the middle of the storm, they accidentally severed a high voltage electrical line, which completely cut us off from the grid. Now, to make matters worse, the specialist who could do that repair had to be flown in. And just remember, this was all during a major snowstorm. So we were forced to rely on 3 oversized turbine generators. These weren't exactly what you would call the most reliable machines. They ran fine when they were running steady, but any changes to their operation risked failure. And when they failed, they were difficult to restart. We were 50 hours into this emergency. You can imagine everyone was exhausted. My boss even refused to come on site because they were afraid that they'd be held accountable for things if they went wrong. Fuel levels were dropping. The filters were clogging from the debris stirred up inside the bottom of the tanks. Fuel trucks couldn't get through the snow-packed roads. And sitting on my shoulders was the reality that if we lost power, we wouldn't just lose the building. We'd experience a catastrophic outage, resulting in $25 million lost in daily productivity for my organization. Needless to say, this invoked a state of fear. This was one of those leadership moments where fear is not theoretical, it's very real. You feel it physically. You hear the clock ticking. You know that indecision could cost dearly. Whether you lead a team, a family, a business, moments like these eventually show up. Fear isn't a sign that you're weak. It's a sign that something important is at stake. The question is never whether fear will appear. It's what you will do in that moment when it arrives. Fear doesn't always mean stop. Sometimes it simply means this matters very deeply. Physiologically, fear triggers what psychologists call bidirectional arousal. Your heart races, your breathing quickens, your vision narrows. Essentially, this is your body getting ready for something. But what you do with that energy is where leadership happens. Dr. Aaliyah Crum at Stanford has done fascinating work on stress mindset. Her research shows that those who view stress as a challenge and not as a threat actually perform better. They stay healthier and they build resilience long term. It's not stress that breaks us, it's how we frame it and then the next actions that we take with it. This principle shows up constantly in high stakes environments. The leaders who stay calm inside the storm, not because they don't feel fear, but because they've been trained to operate with it, are often the ones who lead most effectively. If we reflect on the story of Captain Sully Sullenberger, for example, when both engines failed on U.S. Airways Flight 1549, he didn't act because he was fearless. He acted because his training and his sense of purpose were stronger than the fear that he experienced. And there's another layer to this. Sometimes fear isn't just something to overcome. Sometimes it serves as a crucible in our life, almost as if it's a refining fire that reveals and sharpens our capabilities and leadership skills. Warren Bennis, one of the great leadership scholars, refers to these moments as leadership crucibles. Moments where you are tested to the core, where everything non-essential is burned away, and where you emerge changed. The fire you fear may be the very thing that forges you. In my own moment, 50 hours into that emergency, what got me through eliminating fear, it was focusing on what mattered most. I met with my team, we built a scenario-based plan, and we executed on it together. We were decisive, focused, and fully understood our mission, despite the fear. We often hear about post-traumatic stress, or PTSD, but there's also well-documented research on post-traumatic growth. Psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun have shown that people who endure serious adversity often report stronger personal strength, deeper relationships, clearer purpose, and greater appreciation for life. Not in spite of fear, but often because they went through it. Growth isn't found in the absence of fear. It's found in learning how to live life and carry its burden. So you may ask, how do we transform fear into fuel? And let's just do this very practically. Number one, name it. Don't pretend you're not afraid. Name it, because that reduces fear's power. Number two, reframe it. Ask, what is this fear pointing to, and what deeply matters in this situation? And number three, take action, even if it's a small step, because action is the antidote to paralysis. Forward movement changes the story fear is telling you. So here's our challenge. The next time fear tightens your chest, take a few deep breaths and pause your thinking. Not to retreat, but to listen. Ask yourself, what passion or purpose is pressing through this fear? Because often the fear we feel isn't trying to stop us. It's simply reminding us this issue that is causing fear matters deeply, and I can work through it. You see, fear isn't the enemy of growth. It's often the invitation to step into your next level. That's it for today. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me on Jeremiah's Porch Talks. Rain or shine, I'll see you next time. And always remember to keep the most important things.